Captain's Logs.
Han Solo. I'm captain of the Millennium Falcon.
This is Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the Federation starship Enterprise.
Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
You're listening to Captain's Logs and Lightsabers, part of the Geek News Now podcast network.
Welcome to episode 12 of Captain's Logs and Lightsabers. This is the podcast on the Geek News Now network where we talk about all things Star Wars and Star Trek in the same podcast. My name is Jonathan. I am one of your hosts. With me, as he always is for this show, is my co-host Chris. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How have you been?
I'm fantastic. It's been a bit of a crazy couple weeks. I'm getting over a cold, which is why we haven't recorded in a while, but we are back. We're here to discuss the news, and we are also going to discuss the premiere episode of Star Trek Prodigy, the new animated show on Paramount Plus that had its premiere episode on October 28th. So we're going to talk about that, but we're going to do some news. What's new with you?
Oh, not too much on my end. Just getting down to one job in the next few weeks and building up my business and just getting ready for the holidays, you know, and a whole bunch of new Star Trek being on the way.
I know. It's all going to be coming so fast. And
I know.
And Star Wars stuff, too. I mean, we are going to have one heck of a holiday season for sure.
Thank goodness. Santa Claus, come on and bring whatever you can bring to us fans. That's for sure.
That's right. All right. So, like I said, we are going to hit some of the news stories that have broke since we last had a chance to record. I know we've had a couple interview episodes and really didn't get a chance to talk the news that has broken over the past several months. So we're going to take care of that right away.
Move the ship out of the asteroid field so that we can send a clear transmission.
Captain, incoming message.
Come closer, I have good news.
So the first news story that we're going to cover, we got a premiere date for the book of Boba Fett and some info, some very limited info about the series, but we got a premiere date of December 29th, so they're really cutting it close for that 2021 premiere, but hey, we're getting it in December, so I'm okay with that. Of course, you know, the book of Boba Fett was teased at the end of the second season of The Mandalorian. We knew it was coming, and we knew that it would take place after the second season of The Mandalorian, and we may get some flashbacks. It's hard to say how the structure of the series is going to be, but I'm looking forward to it. Of course, it stars Temuera Morrison and Ming-Na Wen. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are going to be executive producing the show, as well as Robert Rodriguez, Kathleen Kennedy, and Colin Wilson will also be executive producers. I know I am really excited for, you know, how this show plays out. I think that the way that they reintroduced Boba Fett to us in The Mandalorian was incredible. He is a badass, and it's everything that everyone always thought Boba Fett would be. It finally coming true. What do you think?
I think it looks really good. I'm very curious to see how the show's actually going to begin. I mean, that little scene at the end of The Mandalorian, they basically killed their way into Jabba's palace. And what was Boba Fett sitting in Jabba's seat? I think it was. So, I mean, where's that going to go?
Right.
You know, that's going to be very interesting to see. Is he going to end up, you know, continuing to be some type of mercenary or bounty hunter? Or is he going to be more helpful with people? I mean, who knows what they're going to do with it now? I'm sure they'll keep Boba as some badass, but I'm not really sure, like, if that could cover a whole series. I don't know if there's going to still be, like, some, like, positive redeeming qualities where he's helping people, or who knows?
Sure, yeah. There really is so many different ways they can go, and I know it's going to be amazing. I know it's going to be incredible. I am just going to be along for the ride. I can tell you that much.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do, too. I think I'm just going to sit back and watch and see what unfolds and see what kind of creativity they come up with. I'm glad they got the same actor who played Jango Fett to come back and play it. You know, that's one good thing about Star Wars right now. The visual continuity and the character continuity seems spot on to me. You know, that makes it, for me, I enjoy it more. I think I'm very big on, like, canon and consistency. with a lot of different things. So that I think that's part of why I'm enjoying this so much, is just seeing it expanding with the regular actual actors, and things kind of looking the same. The world building has been excellent with The Mandalorian and now going into the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, I agree. I can't wait. It's going to be a very nice Christmas / New Year's present for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Thank goodness.
All right, but before the Book of Boba Fett premieres back in the end of December, we have some Star Trek series premiering. We're going to, namely, season 4 of Star Trek Discovery. That premieres very soon. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what we can expect from season 4 of Discovery?
Sure. Well, Discovery Season 4 premieres on November 18th on Paramount Plus. They haven't mentioned a whole lot of the storyline that's going to happen, but basically the storyline seems to be there's some sort of gravitational anomaly that's humongous that could actually cause severe damage to galaxy-wide. So that sounds like that's going to be the basic storyline and mission of season 4, and it brings the Federation and other and non-aligned worlds together, and they come together to actually go ahead and try to stop this phenomenon from destroying space, basically, or destroying the Federation and the surrounding areas. So that's basically all I know about it at this point. We do have Michael Burnham, who's going to be the captain of Discovery. Finally, I wish they would have done that from the get-go, rather than making her this character who made this bad decision, cost millions of lives, and then had to work her way up to captain. I think it would have been perfect if she would have been captain right from the get-go. I think Sonequa Martin Green is an excellent actress, and I would have loved to have seen her fly. But hey, at least she's there as captain now, so that's going to be very exciting. It's going to be wonderful to see how she leads and how she handles the crew and different crises that come about.
Yeah, I think she has her work cut out for her for sure. But she has a heck of a bridge crew under her command, so
Sure.
I think they'll rise to the challenge, rise to the occasion for sure.
Sure.
I'm excited, because it's the first live action show that our new friend Dr. Erin McDonald is working on. Of course, she worked on Star Trek Lower Deck season 2 as the science advisor, but this Discovery season 4 will be the first season where she actually first season of the show and the first season of a live action show that she's been a part of. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what her one, to see her name in the credits, and two, to see some of the things that she got to work on as far as the science behind everything. And it seems like a gravimetric anomaly is something that she would have had a field day with.
Oh, I'm certain of that one, definitely. And she was certainly very proud of the work she did on Lower Decks. I don't know if you noticed, right after Lower Decks' second season ended, she tweeted a snapshot of her name in the credits at the very end.
Yeah.
You saw that?
I did. That was so awesome.
Yes.
I can just imagine what her reaction was seeing her name. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, I can imagine. She was probably geeking out the entire time. And if anybody out there in the audience doesn't know, we actually interviewed Dr. Erin McDonald a few episodes back. It was a wonderful discussion, a lot of fun, very geeky. So if you are interested and you want to go back a couple episodes, check that out. I think it would be worth your time.
Yeah, absolutely. It was probably the most fun I've had in an interview on this show so far. So
yes,
yeah,
it was wonderful.
I know we got some details about how the special effects and some of the filming was done on Discovery season 4. The technology that they're using in season 4 of Discovery is very similar to the volume, which is used to film the Book of Boba Fett and, of course, the Mandalorian. It's not going to be ILM, but it's a very similar style. It's going to be, a horseshoe-shaped LED set, where basically they'll be able to project the digital effects in real time as the actors are there, rather than using green screen. I think that's absolutely phenomenal, and I think it's going to bring a new level of interaction, to the show that, the characters are just, it gives them a lot more tools to act against.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's wonderful. It's just amazing how much the technology has grown over the years with what they can do now with CGI. It'll make the shows almost to the point where, for example, in a lot of the animated series, they have free reign to kind of create whatever they want. Now they're actually going to have free reign to be able to create whatever kind of backgrounds they're going to want for ships and for technology and for planets and asteroids or whatever. The sky's the limit now with what they can create. So it's going to be really exciting to see. I mean, if it's even half as good as what The Mandalorian has done, we're in for quite a treat.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Well, I think with that, let's move back into Star Wars, into the Star Wars galaxy here. Talk a little bit about the Cassian Andor series that's coming. It is called Star Wars Andor. Of course, it's going to feature Diego Luna, who played Cassian in Rogue One. It's a spin-off series of that show. It takes place, of course, prior to Rogue One, since pretty certain Cassian did not survive the incident on Scarif. So of course, plot details are still very much under close guard, so we don't have a whole lot to report about Andor, but Diego Luna has already called the show a rousing spy thriller. So it's I'm excited because it's like, okay, maybe a little James Bond, maybe a little Jason Bourne, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for that. The series, of course, is set to premiere sometime next year in 2022, since the show has finished filming. They're working in post-production now on it. So they haven't announced exactly when in 2022, but we're getting it then. What are your thoughts on Andor?
I agree with what you're saying. I think the whole super spy kind of feel is going to be kind of neat, something different for Star Wars. That's something that Star Wars seems to be very good at, is adapting to different types of stories. It's not just about the Jedi and the Empire. It actually has all these other little side stories that go on with it, and it just fits very well in that world. So it's going to be fascinating to see how they develop that, and then how that leads into Andor's character and what he becomes in Rogue One.
Yeah. I really hope that we kind of get a bit more follow-up on that contact that he had at the very beginning of Rogue One, the one that he shot, because he would have slowed down Cassian's escape. I hope we get a bit more, background with that character and why Cassian trusted him so much, but why he had to make that choice to sacrifice him so that he could escape. I think if we get enough of time with that character, it's going to make that moment in Rogue One all the more powerful.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, it'll definitely bring it quite a punch. Because you're right. There's nothing. It's like, okay, he's there for 5 minutes and then he's off.
Yeah.
So you're right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope we get more in that space station, that Ring of Kafrene. That was a really cool visual effect with the way it was kind of parts of the space station were opposing gravity from one another. It was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would definitely be really cool. And who knows what kind of other settings that they're going to have for this show,
right?
With him being the spy, and it's going to be very interesting. I even wonder if he's actually is he like a freelancer? Does he do his own thing, or is he actually working for some sort of organization?
Right. I mean, I'm pretty certain that he is, working for the Rebel Alliance. Maybe officially, unofficially, like very much Mission Impossible style, where if something happens to him, the Rebel Alliance would disavow any knowledge that he existed.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. I don't think there's really much more that we can say about Andor right now, since we have very minimal details. So let's move back into Star Trek. I know you have some news on season 2 of Picard, right?
Yes, so season 2 of Picard is going to be pretty interesting. So obviously we all know by now that Q is going to be rejoining Captain Picard. So we'll have John Delancey back for our season-long arc. So basically what he says in this trailer that came out was he tells Picard that the trial never ended, going back to that trial that was shown against crimes against humanity in Encounter at Farpoint and was followed up in the Next Generation series finale, All Good Things. So this is the next continuation. So basically what it looks like is Q changes history, and it makes the Federation as some sort of totalitarian, I don't know if it's an empire or just you want to call it an organization. But it's freedom is basically taken away from the Federation. So Picard decides that they have to go back in time to figure out where the change happened in the timeline to undo the damage. So we basically get a whole season in, what would you say, was it 21st century modern day Los Angeles? So and I think what's interesting too is that they kind of tied the Borg into this story to a small degree, as it looks like they're going to be using the Borg Queen to actually go back in time. So it looks like they must plug her into something. I don't know if they create some sort of time vortex or portal, but that's how they end up getting back in time. And I don't know. That's really about all I know about it at this point, but I think it's going to be really fun. Time travel is always fun in the Star Trek universe. This is very interesting with just, I guess, kind of like the political times of now, talking about, totalitarianism and fascism. There'll probably be some commentary in that area. It'll be interesting to see what kind of story that they come up with, and what they can do to resolve the timeline. It'll also be very interesting to see what Picard does in his new body now that he's in the android body. So, what are your thoughts?
I am unapologetically a huge fan of Q. So whenever we got that teaser and then the initial trailer, showing him in all his glory, I thought that was absolutely incredible. I kind of wish they had done that for the first season of Picard, because I think it would have been a stronger season. But I understand why they had to, play out the first season the way they did, so that they could get Picard into that android body and kind of make him, more viable as a character, since, obviously, Patrick Stewart wasn't getting any younger, and Picard, of course, had lived quite a full life up to that point. So I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited to see the follow-up and the continuation of the first and last episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation. I think that's brilliant. I definitely can't wait. And to echo your sentiments on time travel in Star Trek, I agree. I think that of all the sci-fi shows that have messed with time travel, I think Star Trek always has the most clever ways of sending the crew back in time or even forward in time. So,
yes. Absolutely. And of course they tie the Borg into it slightly, but I mean, it all goes back to, it was Q who introduced the Federation to the Borg in the first place. That's a nice little continuation piece there. I'm also looking forward to seeing what role the crew is going to have. I guess if you want to call it a crew, I don't know. They didn't kind of make it very clear at the end of season 1 of Picard where they were going. It was just they all assembled on La Sirena and just went off on a new adventure. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see why they're still together, what they've been doing, and how they gel together as this motley crew aboard this ship.
Sure.
Also, I think what's interesting about this is I think they basically just sealed the deal that Guinan's going to be in this season. I mean, if Whoopi Goldberg doesn't get to join this season, especially if it's a Q story, then they've got problems over there at CBS, because I think there needs to be that. Can you imagine seeing those two together again on screen?
Oh my goodness,
Whoopi Goldberg and John Delancey.
Yeah, and it's a nerd dream come true.
Mm-hmm.
I think, more so than even Lower Decks, this season of Picard is a true love letter to the next generation. And
it sure is.
I am 100% on board.
Yes. And of course I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I guess it doesn't really matter, but I'd love it if Jerry Ryan's promoted to series regular in this season.
Yeah. I think she had some of the best scenes in season 1 of Picard. I was really invested in her story. So yeah, I hope that she does get that promotion to series regular, because that would be awesome.
Yes. So I think we're in for a real treat and coming early 2022 in this premieres. I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. It is, like I said, this is the beginning of something incredible. In the next, in roughly 18 days, we get the season 4 premiere of Discovery, and then from there, we've got Star Wars, Star Trek, Star Wars, Star Trek. I mean, it is going to be an absolutely phenomenal 6 to 8 months period.
Yes, can't wait. Exciting time to be a genuine geek and nerd, definitely. Without a doubt.
For sure. All right, so jumping back into Star Wars, we saved the best piece of news for last, at least I think so. The Hollywood Reporter, I believe it was very early on Friday of last week that they said that Hayden Christensen was going to reprise his role as Anakin Skywalker in Ahsoka, which I am here for the Hayden Renaissance. I think it's phenomenal that he's coming back. I know we're getting him in Obi-Wan as Darth Vader, and he'll be in the suit. But if we get to see him as Anakin again, I will be in heaven, let me tell you.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great seeing him coming back and filling those shoes again. I really do believe Hayden Christensen didn't get the credit he deserved. I thought he did a damn good job playing that character.
Oh, for sure. And
a lot of emotion.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think I love the prequels. We've had this discussion many times over on the show. But, I don't think Hayden got nearly as much credit as he deserved for how well he portrayed Anakin. You can say what you want about George Lucas not being a very, very great at getting performances out of his actors. Lucas always had a mind on the big picture, and he didn't really drill down on his actors, but I think in the hands of Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, I think we are going to see quite a nuanced performance from Hayden in Ahsoka. I don't know what level and how many episodes we're going to see him in. I really hope it's not just a one-off, one episode appearance and nothing more. But like I said to you in pre-show, if the Hollywood Reporter says that an actor is appearing in a show, they're pretty much dead on at 100% right.
Oh yeah,
and I think further confirmation of the fact that it's true was in a tweet that Rosario Dawson sent out that was very, very quickly deleted. She sent out a tweet along with the link to the Hollywood Reporter article that said, "Sky Guy, they know. See you soon. Love, Snips." I thought that was amazing, and I'm so glad that I didn't get to see the initial tweet, but of course, nothing on the internet is gone forever, and there were plenty of screenshots taken of the tweet and sent out to everybody. So I am definitely confident in saying that this is 100% accurate, that we are going to see him.
Oh, that's wonderful. I didn't even know about the tweet. So that's news to me. So yeah, it sounds like the cat's out of the bag officially, even though unofficially.
Right. I mean, nothing is ever official until Lucasfilm confirms it, but I mean, the Hollywood Reporter has rarely been wrong.
Sure, absolutely. But boy, you're right about seeing Anakin and Darth Vader again. What I'm really excited about is when the Obi-Wan Kenobi series arrives and we see that first encounter where we find out, when Obi-Wan finds out that Anakin's still alive. I can't wait to see that exact moment, what the look on his face is going to be. And then when they see each other for the first time since Mustafar.
Right.
It's going to be, I can't freaking wait for that.
I know.
And then the same thing with Ahsoka. I'd love to see what it's going to be like when the two of them are together. I mean, look at Ahsoka and Vader in the second season finale of Rebels. I can't remember the name. Is it Twilight of the Force or something?
Twilight of the Apprentice.
Twilight of the Apprentice.
Yes.
There we go. My favorite episode of the entire series. It was one of the most dramatic, well-written episodes I've ever seen of Star Wars. Just seeing the two of them and the look on her face when she sees his his helmet was torn open, and she can hear his voice through all the mechanics. It's just it was heart wrenching to see. So to see actually what happens with them going forward. Now, did they say what time period the Ahsoka series takes place in?
It takes place. I don't know for sure. But I am fairly certain that the time frame is going to be after her appearance in season 2 of The Mandalorian. Just because we got that line of dialogue from Ahsoka when she said that. And when she asked where Grand Admiral Thrawn is, I think that at least the main plot line that's going to run through Ahsoka is going to be her search for Thrawn and Ezra.
Okay. That's good. That'd be great to see them in live action.
Right. So I'm wondering that's why I wonder how much Hayden are we going to get? How much Anakin are we going to get? Are we going to get flashbacks? Is Hayden going to be a Force ghost that Ahsoka communes with? Are we going to get both? Please, I hope we get both.
That would be wonderful. You got to be so geeked out right now, because isn't Ahsoka your favorite character?
Oh, absolutely. 100% my favorite character. I don't know. Part of it is because of my love of Ashley Eckstein. She is just the absolute nicest person. I've met her, like I said, I've met her a few times. I've had her sign books. I've had her sign autographs. She is just a wonderful human being. She's a fantastic actress. She has a great business mind because she runs her universe on the day-to-day basis. I know Hot Topic owns her universe, and it's part of that, that it's part of the Hot Topic family, but she is still the day-to-day, management of that company. And the way that she has built that from, she said she built that because she never would, when she was out shopping, she would never see Star Wars fashion for girls. So she started the company with that in mind, and really bringing that voice to the female fan base that is so much bigger than I think anyone realizes, in Star Wars. There are so many girls and women that love Star Wars that she had to do something for them, for herself and for them. And she's incredible. And just the way that she has been able to exhibit so much emotion with the character. I know that Rosario Dawson is going to be our live action Ahsoka, and I'm okay with that. I was a little weird at first seeing her, and a little upset that Ashley didn't get brought in for it, but I think if anyone can do the character justice, it is Rosario.
Okay. Yeah, I was just about to ask you what you thought of Ashley not getting the part, because that's what I would have thought that that's the way it would have been. But Rosario Dawson seemed to do a pretty good job in Mandalorian, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of her portrayal.
Right, and we only got a little sample of what she can do, so I think in a full series, I think there's going to be a lot more folks that really come over to her side with the Ahsoka series. At least I'm hoping.
Good. So at this point, they just really... Do we have a date on when Ahsoka is going to be released?
We don't. There's no date. They haven't even confirmed that they started filming yet, for sure.
Okay.
I imagine they are, close to starting, just because of the news that's breaking. So we're probably not going to get that until 2023, if I had to guess. But yeah,
sounds about right.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's enough gushing about Ahsoka.
Really?
I mean, look, I could go on and on and on, but I don't think the rest of our audience...
They don't want to hear you fanning out about it, huh?
No, we've done enough. So let's move on to our last bit of Star Trek news, and then we'll get into our feature discussion.
All right. So the last series that's really being talked about is Strange New Worlds. And for those of you who don't know, it's basically a spinoff of Discovery, with Anson Mount as Captain Pike and the crew of the Enterprise a number of years before Captain Kirk takes over command of the ship. So on Star Trek Day on September 8th, they didn't really overly announce a lot of stuff. They didn't even really have a trailer. It was more just like talking about some new characters that they added into it. So there was one character who's new. Her name is Lieutenant Ortegas. They didn't really say anything about that character. The only thing that's really interesting about this character is when the cage was actually being developed by Gene Roddenberry, one of the characters was named Jose Ortegas. And that character turned into Jose Tyler, who was the navigator on board the Enterprise. So it's not the same character, but I think it's cool that they ended up going and using that name for this new character. So they brought in some legacy characters. The first one was a real shocker. They're bringing Uhura in. At this point, she's a cadet on the Enterprise, working with communications. So it'll be very interesting to see how she becomes the skilled communications officer that serves on board the Enterprise under Kirk's command, watching her develop. Mm-hmm. They also are bringing Dr. M'Benga back. He was in 2 episodes of the original series. I can't remember exactly. I think A Private Little War was the first one in season 2. There was another one in season 3. I can't remember exactly which one. It's been a while. But basically, he was the expert on Vulcan physiology that worked on board the Enterprise. So we're gonna see a little bit of him on board, which will be really cool. They also are bringing Nurse Chapel on board as a young nurse, and what's really it will be cool about that is that Nurse Chapel, the big thing about her character is that she was definitely drawn to Spock emotionally, sexually, whatever. So it'll be cool to see the kind of beginning of maybe where that has come from, and just kind of seeing her develop as a nurse on board the ship. So those are some legacy characters that are going to be coming on board. Mm-hmm. They also, number 1, obviously portrayed by Rebecca Romaine. They finally gave her a name. I think they gave her the name of Una. I don't know if there's something else after that or not, but I know Una, they're making her official first name. And I think that actually came from an older Star Trek novel, and they decided to bring that name into the actual character here on Strange New Worlds. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
So
I almost wonder if Una is kind of a play on the Spanish word for number 1. Of course, the Spanish word for number 1 is uno, but if you change the O to an A in Spanish, it becomes feminine.
Oh, there you go. Absolutely. That's a very good tie-in that you came up with there. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a few moments of brilliance. Not a bunch, but
that's excellent. That's excellent. Yeah. So everybody's assuming that Strange New Worlds is going to premiere on Paramount Plus sometime in 2022, which would be good. My guess, it would probably be maybe either in the summer or heading into next fall at this point, but I could be wrong. But it sounds like what Paramount Plus is trying to do is have at least one Star Trek series going consistently throughout the year, so there are no gaps, which as a Star Trek fan is really, really nice, because those long waits are pretty bad. Even after 10, 12 years of gaps between Enterprise and Discovery, any little gap now is annoying as all get out. So hopefully that we'll get to see that shortly after Picard ends. I also love the fact that the show's supposed to be going back to Star Trek's roots, and actually kind of doing more of the episodic kind of thing and going from planet to like the Planet of the Week or Aliens of the Week. I think that's what Star Trek's been needing. If you look back on it, the original series in The Next Generation can arguably probably be the most successful of all the Star Trek series that ever existed. Next Generation in particular, with the level of high ratings that show had over the years. And what do they have in common? Well, basically, they're on the Enterprise going out and seeking out new life and new civilizations. If you go on to Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, Discovery, they're out in space, they're Federation-based, but the shows are very specific in their formats, where basically the first 2 just embrace that, let's go explore space, and we're on the Enterprise. So I think that's having Strange New Worlds going back to that, even though it's a prequel, I think it's going to be great for some of the older Star Trek fans.
Yeah, I think so. I do appreciate the serial nature of Star Trek Discovery and Picard that we've seen so far. But yeah, Star Trek has always been mostly episodic and very very little serialization. We get plot threads that kind of resurface,
Hmm.
later on in the series. Something that was brought up early on makes an appearance later, or you've got you've got your characters growing, through some of the B plots of the episodes.
Hmm.
You see that character growth, but yeah, the episodic nature has always been what Star Trek is primarily about. And yeah, I think that's going to bring the fan base back that has kind of been, like you said, alienated from liking Discovery. I know you are not the biggest fan of Discovery yourself. uh,
Right.
and would you say that's your reason behind why, is because it's not episodic, or?
Not really. There's this big debate about canon and the visualization about Discovery and how it got shoehorned into 10 years before Kirk's era, but it looks nothing like it. So obviously, you can't have a high budget series in the 21st century looking like it did in 1960s. There's no denying that. But I'm very I'm one of those people, I can't get my brain around it. So when I watch Discovery and I see all these changes and I see all this advanced technology, even beyond what was in the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, it pulls me out of the story.
Mhm.
And I hate to say that. It's not that I don't want to sit there and watch it. It's just every time I watch them, like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. This shouldn't be here. That shouldn't be there. This storyline's not right. That's what I don't like about Discovery, is that it pulls me out of the story. I wish I had the brain like a lot of other fans do, where they can sit and say it doesn't have to look exactly the same. It's the same story, whatever. But that's my biggest issue with Discoveries. It's like a square peg being hammered into a round hole for me.
Yeah, I mean, now that they're in the 29th century, it's a little
It's
better.
different. Yeah. Yeah.
It feels like it feels less out of place,
Right.
for sure. And of course, all the nanotechnology from season 3 of Discovery, has really kind of helped that show, fit more like a round peg in a round hole.
Yes, exactly. And here's the way I kind of look at it. Could you imagine if they would have went into making Rogue One and they said, you know what, the way it looked in the original Star Wars movie is 270s. Why don't we just jazz it up and completely redesign it and have these nice screens? We'll make an homage to it, but we're going to make the technology super different than we've ever seen before. It's so much more advanced and so much cooler. And then they changed that and put that in the movie. How would you have been seeing the Death Star souped up, knowing you were going to be going into episode 4 and seeing it like it did in the 70s?
Yeah, I see what what you're going for there, and yeah, it definitely would not have had the same impact that it does. Making Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, that's like I said, Discovery's Discovery. It does its own thing, but it's just as a fan who's been a fan for as long as I have, with almost 30 years, to tell me, okay, this is the way it looks now, and this is the way you just better accept it because it's cooler. It's just hard for me, But I mean, but I'm not one of those fans that's going to make fun of other fans or bully them online if they like it. There are good things about Discovery. I love the cast. And even though the sets don't match what the time period it's supposed to come from, the sets are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the sets literally are top notch. The show's got state of the art special effects. There's representation for people on that show that have never had representation before. So I get that it's special to people for a lot of reasons. It's just the one show that's not my cup of tea. I'll still watch it though because it's Star Trek. Even there are fans out there who say it's not Star Trek. It's Star Trek. It is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's just my stance on it. That's all.
All right. So I think we've kind of covered everything there is to as far as the news is concerned, don't you?
Yes, sir. I think we did a great job on that.
I think so.
A lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great 8 to 10 months of content for both Star Trek and Star Wars. But on that note, let's talk about some new Star Trek.
Don't get technical with me.
Logic is the beginning of wisdom, Polaris, not the end.
The Jedi uses the Force for knowledge and defense.
All right. So, Star Trek fans, as we all know, on October 28th, the series premiere of Star Trek Prodigy premiered on Paramount Plus. Man, were we in for some sort of an amazing show. I can't believe what we saw. It was incredible. And I think this is going to be a great way to introduce kids to the Star Trek universe. So basically, the premise of the first episode is basically this. It started out on the mining colony of Tars Lamora. Started the focus on a young adolescent male named Dahl, who was clearly looking for a way to escape this mining colony, which apparently is some sort of prison. It was definitely very difficult for him being there because there was no universal translator, so nobody could understand each other. So there was a fugitive that was being called Zero that basically Dahl was put in charge of trying to find. There was a period at the beginning of the episode where he tried to escape from the colony. He got caught. So he ended up being taken by a young woman named Gwen, and there was a droid with her called Dreadnought. And they took her to him to her father named the Diviner, who was in some sort of weird tank talking to her, saying that she has some sort of destiny in play for her, but she doesn't know what it is. And after she left to try to talk to Dahl, basically there was a dialogue between the Diviner and Dreadnought where there's an actual mission of what's going on at this mining colony. It's more than just a mining colony. So basically, Gwen and Dreadnought decide they. I'm sorry, I'm kind of like stuttering over my words.
That's okay.
So basically, Gwen and Dreadnought, they call on Dahl to actually work with this one creature that looks like a big chunk of rock, basically to go and find Fugitive Zero and capture him. So, but in the process, they end up falling through a chasm and they find what turns out to be a Starfleet ship, the USS Protostar. And when they go on board the ship, and there's a universal translator on that ship, and they finally able to start communicating to each other, and they realize that this is what this mining colony is all about. This is what is being sought after. Mm-hmm. And nobody can really understand why this ship's here in the first place. So through different circumstances, they go and start bringing other people with them to kind of get the ship out. They also find Fugitive Zero, who turns out to be a Medusan who is non-corporeal and has no gender. And it seems pretty technologically advanced. It actually created its own spacesuit. So they go and they find a Tellarite engineer named Jankum Pog, and they bring him on board to help get the Protostar going. They also bring aboard some, I guess the best way to describe it is a white blob. It's a blob character that they found out is named Murph. But if what I thought was interesting is he couldn't be translated. If you notice, there was no speech from him. And Gwen and Dreadnought end up finding them with the Protostar. They kidnap Gwen, put her on board the ship. They manage to get the ship flying, and they go off on their new adventures. And then at the very end of the episode, we see the Diviner outside of his tank, basically talking about them going after and getting this ship. It's his prize. So that's going to be leading us into the adventures of Star Trek Prodigy. What were some of your thoughts about it, Jonathan?
So I was immediately drawn to the animation style. I really, I like. Sorry. I love computer animated programming. I think we've seen it with the Clone Wars, we've seen it with Star Wars Rebels, and there were definitely some connections and some parallels to both of those shows in Star Trek Prodigy. You could tell that the inspiration was definitely there. Our main character Dahl very much reminded me of Ezra at the start of Rebels. Kind of
yes.
Someone who was essentially abandoned or was captured, made to be a slave, or worker on this mining colony. Very headstrong, very opinionated, very much caught in his own illusion of how amazing he is. I thought that was a really cool kind of parallel. I think he's a very engaging main character. I think he's perfect for kids to kind of latch onto as their favorite. But I like how the Gwyn especially wasn't afraid to put Dahl in his place.
Yes.
Whenever she knew that she was right and she had the right idea, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the interplay between those two as the rest of the show kind of carries on. I think it's going to create some cool tension and definitely very much like the relationship between Ezra and Sabine in Rebels.
Yes.
I definitely get those vibes. And then you've got your other supporting characters, Rock Talk, yes. And initially, I thought it was, obviously Rock Talk is the muscle, but the revelation that Rock Talk was just a child,
yes,
versus in what looks like looks like Rock Talk was in an adult's body, but she's really a child. I thought that was a mind blowing revelation in the show. I'm kind of curious to see where they go with Murph, because the fact that the Universal Translator didn't have a way to translate what what Murph's speech patterns were and really understand the language. I wonder if we're going to get if maybe throughout the series we're going to start to hear more dialogue from Murph, that the Universal Translator is picking up on the dialect that Murph uses, and if we're going to get that some more speech and some more input from that character.
Yes, absolutely. And I think Murph is clearly this show's baby Yoda or Grogu. Just if you think about it, Murph didn't really say anything. Grogu really never said anything in the series. And they both seem to have some unique powers. Obviously, Grogu's are based on Jedi and the Force. But I don't know if you noticed it, but Murph is the one who activated the phasers on the Protostar. And all Murph seemed to do was just kind of sit there and allow himself to sink into the console or something. And all of a sudden the phasers came alive. So what else is this character actually going to be capable of? This character is already being put in pictures on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen it. It looks like Murph's photobombing in certain pictures with people. So Murph's already going to be I think, a very popular character. And obviously they created this in mind, hoping to get some sales of some stuffed toys and figures and stuff like that. But absolutely, and which makes sense. But I think it's going to be a very unique character, and it is super cute. Can't deny it.
For sure. I think that. Sorry. Give me a minute.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that we are in for one heck of a season. I think that. Obviously with the Diviner, going after them in his ship, we are going to get some thrilling chase scenes. Maybe an episode or two where they're trying to outrun the Diviner. I thought that I'm interested to see what more of a role that the Janeway hologram plays. I think we're certainly in for a treat with her as well.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm beyond excited to see where the rest of this show goes, and how much at what point will the crew really come together as a singular unit and work together as one. I know there's going to be some tension, obviously,
Sure.
between Dahl and Gwyn, but I wonder if by the end of the first season they're going to be, a well-oiled machine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to be honest with you, I'm sure as the series goes on, there'll be some sort of love interest between the two of them. Like it was kind of hinted with Ezra and Sabine in Rebels, as well. So I can see that at least being flirted with a little bit.
I hope not.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I can see it happening.
Yeah, I don't know. Now, did you, when we initially got the first cast photo, and the trailer for Prodigy, did you realize that Zero was a Medusan?
I didn't know it from the actual trailer itself. I knew from when they first announced the characters. And I think that was so cool of an idea to bring a Medusan on board. I don't know if you've ever watched the third season episode of the original series, Is There in Truth No Beauty? It had an episode where there was a Medusan in a box, which they actually showed the exact same box as a bit of continuity with Zero in the Prodigy episode. And it was the same thing. If he had to stay in that box, because if he stayed in the box, or came out of the box, I should say, he was so ugly and grotesque that he would make anybody go mad. And that's what ended up happening, is that some engineer on the Enterprise went mad and flung the ship past the galaxy into the void or into something. Mm-hmm. And they had to use Kalos to actually, that was the Medusan's name, Kalos, to actually get the Enterprise back, because apparently the Medusans are great navigators. So that's something that we'll be seeing probably with Zero as well, as being a navigator. What's really interesting about Zero is the character has no gender, because the character Ambassador Kalos was hinted at being male in that episode of the original series. So, but it makes sense that if they're non-corporeal, that they're going to be genderless.
Sure.
So that's going to be interesting. One other thing that I found interesting about this episode, since we're talking about the characters, we've got 3 aliens on here that are from the Alpha Quadrant, or actually 4. So we have Jankum Pog, who is a Tellarite. Mm-hmm. We have, there was a Cation character that was shown. I thought that was a different species. It was just similar to a cat, but apparently it's a Cation, just like from the animated series and Lower Decks. Mm-hmm. So we got that. We have, Zero. Obviously, the Medusans are from the Alpha Quadrant, because they were at their planet in that episode. And then there was a Lorian character. And if anybody doesn't know what a Lorian is, it's the character of Morn from Deep Space Nine, who never talked, and but was always frequently in Quark's bar, is that species. So I've been sitting back going, how on earth did 4 Alpha Quadrant species get to the Delta Quadrant? Now, I've kind of thought it'll be, I don't know if they're going to follow up on that, or if they're just going to say, the heck with it, don't question, it's not a big deal. And I'm not really overly worried about it. I'm just curious. I think maybe if they would have made Jankum Pog a Talaxian, it would have fit a little bit better. And I actually think Pog looks more Talaxian than Tellarite. But Zero, the Medusans, I can see that they probably can go at fast speeds and go anywhere they want. So that one's not really a stretch. But the Lorian, the Cation characters that didn't have any lines, I have to keep reminding myself that the Caretaker brought a lot of ships from the Alpha Quadrant, or from all over the galaxy, to the Delta Quadrant before Voyager. So who knows who came before that? Right. So that'll be interesting. I do also want to give a shout out to one of my favorite Star Trek species, the Kazon. I was so stoked to see a Kazon back on the show again. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen Kazon in years. And that Kazon arc that Voyager had in season 2 was one of my absolute favorite arcs of any Star Trek series. And Seska's my favorite villain of the series. So I'm hoping that we'll get to see Kulla come back, or maybe some legacy characters from other episodes of Voyager. We know Chakotay's coming back. That was just mentioned recently on social media. And Captain Okana from the second season Next Generation episode, The Outrageous Okana, I guess maybe he got pulled to the Delta Quadrant. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But there's just so much excitement about this show, so many new things to follow.
Yeah, it's going to be so cool. To see where, like I said, to see where the rest of the show goes, where the rest of the first season goes.
Yes.
We get 10 episodes.
I believe it's 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's still a lot left to go, and I'm along for the ride. I'm really, really, really excited to see where the rest of this goes. And I'm happy for you that that you got to see the Kazon and really get to see that return of one of your favorites. Yeah, I hope maybe they solicit help from that Kazon character, as they're trying to get away from the Diviner.
Absolutely. And I'm curious about the mining colony itself. Obviously, the Diviner set it up because he was looking for the protostar. That was very clear, that it clearly mentioned.
Sure.
But the colony itself, is it set up as, is it like a legitimate penal colony? Or I guess it was more like, I guess that Kazon was more like a bounty hunter who was going around the different sectors and gathering people to bring to this space. But I wasn't sure if it was functioning as an actual like penal colony or not. I don't know if we'll learn more about it or not, or if it's just it was just a setting.
Sure.
But I'm curious about that. I'm also curious to see what the heck the protostar can do.
Right. Yeah. We've never seen a ship quite like that in Star Trek.
No.
Seeing the Janeway hologram is kind of a unique twist on what we saw in Voyager with the EMH.
Yes.
This is basically the command version of the EMH, right?
Absolutely.
So, it's going to be interesting. Do you know what the time frame of the show is? Is it after Voyager? Is it simultaneous with Voyager? I mean,
it's 4 years after Nemesis. So Nemesis took place in 2379. So I believe this show takes place in 2383. And Voyager came home about a year and a half or 2 years before Nemesis came out. So, yeah, they should all be home at this point. I'm just curious to see why they sent the protostar out there. And did they send it with a crew or not?
Right. And how did it get to the Delta Quadrant?
Yes. And how did the Diviner find out about it? Was it, did they find it in space and they lost track of it and they happened to crash on this planet? And that's why he set this mining thing up? There's just so many interesting little characters. And we're already in just one episode. And look at all this stuff we're already talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is a visual treat for Star Trek fans of all ages. And yeah, you were absolutely 100% correct that I think this is going to really bring families together. It's going to get kids interested in Star Trek, and there's enough there for the adults who are fans to really latch onto and really get excited about as well. And all of the best animation does that. It's a way to bring families together around a common interest.
Absolutely.
And yeah, absolutely. This journey is going to be incredible.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Any final thoughts on the first episode of Prodigy?
Not much. I was just amazed at how very similar it felt to Star Wars. Just the Diviner being in that what looked like a big Bacta tank to me, basically. And then at the end of the episode, you see him hooked up to some sort of tubes from his back. I mean, clearly that was like an homage to Darth Vader and Anakin. And then Dreadnought, almost from the beginning of the episode, I'm like, this is like General Grievous.
Yep.
It's just like spot on. If you think about it, Dreadnought is the second in command of a flesh and blood character. In this case, Dreadnought is the second in command of the Diviner. And basically Dreadnought led the droids that went after all of them. What were they called? The Watchers, I think they were called. Those droids. Yeah, and they felt a lot like separatist kind of, not battle droids, but some of their other little droids that they had flying around and walking around.
Yeah, like the buzz droids or the vulture droids. Yeah,
that's it. Yes, the buzz. Yeah, absolutely.
Very much. Yeah, this show's inspiration that it's taken from Star Wars is certainly is something that it wears very proudly on its sleeve as a badge of honor.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even down to the storyline where the original Star Wars was about the Empire sucking all of the hope from the galaxy. Well, that's basically what this colony is doing, is sucking the hope out of these characters that are these prisoners, basically. And even the Diviner even said it in the episode about how the Protostar would teach them about the Federation and bring them hope, which they're not supposed to have. So there's even that connection
Right.
with Star Wars.
Yeah. I'm really I'm really happy with how this first episode played out. I can't wait for the rest of it. But I think we've kind of discussed all the major points that there are to really hit on this show. What do you say we wrap up?
You got it. Sounds good. I think we had a good discussion.
I think so too. Hey, Chris, why don't you let our listeners know how they can reach out to you if they want to talk more Prodigy or share their thoughts on the episode?
Absolutely. So you can find me on Facebook. You can just type my name, Christopher, Chrisistopher, and then my last name is Stough, Stough. Just type that into Facebook. It'll take you directly to my Facebook page. And then on Twitter, you can follow me at cstough1. How about you, Jonathan?
My handle for pretty much every social media site out there is just a Disney Geek, except on Facebook. Of course, you can search Jonathan Hyle, JonathanHile. Friend request me. Let me know, with a message that you're a listener of the show, because if I don't know you, I'm probably not going to accept your friend request. So just let me know that you are a fan of the show, and I'll accept that, and we can talk. So for Chris and myself, this has been episode 12 of Captain's Logs and Lightsabers. We appreciate everyone who listens. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you liked about Star Trek Prodigy first episode if you saw it. And don't be afraid to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts for the show so that we can grow our audience and reach out to more fans just like you.
Absolutely, everybody. It's great to be here. And until next time, may all of you live long and prosper.
And may the Force be with you.